the agenda, honorable members. Can we move for the adoption of the agenda? Can we get the mover for the adoption of the agenda?
I move, Chair.
Honorable Makaseni moved. Honorable Setlhwai.
I second the mover, Chair.
Thank you very much. The agenda is duly adopted. Let me take this opportunity to welcome honorable members and welcome the department DM. I saw the DM, I didn't see the minister. If the minister has joined, both of you, you're welcome in your teams. Can we then acknowledge or receive apologies if there are any? Ms. Davis.
Chairperson, the only apology received is from Honorable Dr. Kumalo, who is off sick. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Apologies, I think, is as accepted. And then item number 4 is the consideration and adoption of the Northern Cape and Northwest Oversight Visit Report. Sabelo.
Morning, Chair.
Yeah. Take us through and please speak to the report, then go page by page.
Okay, Chair. Hi, honey.
Hi, sorry, you are co-host already.
Oh, okay, thanks. Honorable members, can you see the report?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Morning, honorable Chairperson, members and Deputy Minister, and all protocol observed. I'm going to take you through the Northern Cape and Northwest Provincial Report, Oversight Report, which took place from 27 to 31st March 2023. So with regards to the background, it talks about the responsibility of the committee in undertaking oversight, and it talks about the areas that the committee seeks to address, such as your integrated human settlements planning, your outcome aid, the title deed, military veterans, and issues of the destitute people, and also dealing with alternative technologies. So when we were at the Northern Cape, the provincial department briefed the committee, and they flagged challenges such as vacant posts. The housing backlog was at 80,000, and they needed more money to deal with the backlog. And with regards to the building materials, they indicated that they only had 3 hardwares that were working with the provincial department, and they were only sourcing materials from the Western Cape and Gauteng, and this required extra funds. And also the challenge of non-performance by contractors. And with regards to the presentation, the department indicated that they received a limited budget over the 3 years for servicing of sites and construction. And the province has spent 100% of both the HSDG and the UISP. With regards to the outcomes aid, the province had delivered 1,432 BNG houses, 40 FLISP service sites, and 458 CRUs, and 13 informal settlements upgraded to phase 3. With regards to military veterans, there was a lack of delivery due to budget constraints, and there were no alternative building technologies because they indicated that there was a lack of buy-in from beneficiaries. And then number 3, with regards to the project that we visited, the first one was Lerato Park. This was an integrated housing development, which was offering different housing typologies. And the project was planned to deliver 4,652 subsidized housing. The committee was, interacted with some people who were standing nearby, and they had indicated that they were not happy with the rent to buy approach because they were told that they would be able to. They were not happy that they were told that those flats were rent to buy approach, but later on that was changed to say that they will only rent. And then with regards to Lerato military veterans, the owner indicated happiness with regards to the spec and the nature of the house. In Rodepan flats in Kimberley, there were about 1,092 units, and they indicated that these houses were part of, or the project was part of the IDP of the municipality, and they also indicated problems with regards to the collection of rent because some people were not willing to pay rent. And the following project was the Hewlett Street social housing, and there were 372 social housing units, and there was a challenge of groundwater, which was not detected during the geotech study. However, the contractor that was there indicated that they found a way to pull the groundwater up, and also some community members indicated a dissatisfaction with houses being in a sinkhole, and they also complained about the mining dust, which is causing sicknesses. In Kutu, Shilane 1, there were about 1,265 informal settlements. The HDA was a developer. However, there was a dispute with the contractor who was on site, and the matter was in court. So the committee urged everyone involved to fast track the issue and also make sure that while waiting for court decision, there should not be vandalism of those houses. In Pankara, 200 in Ward 22, sorry, in Ward 2, there was a problem of low water pressure, and they indicated that load shedding was contributing to this problem. And then the delegation moved to Northwest, and then we received a briefing, and the briefing was around, they indicated that they are using the DDM model or forums for integrated human settlements planning. And with regards to outcomes aid, they indicated that they had implemented up to 119%, and the titled restoration program, they indicated that they have appointed 25 conveyancers to register about 34,000 title deeds, and they indicated that they involved youth from the township to also benefit from that. The military veteran, the construction of military veterans, they indicated that there were about 22 approved units, and they were also still in communication with the Department of Military Veterans with regards to norms and standards, and this consultation was still pending. With regards to housing for destitute, special needs, and vulnerable groups, they indicated that municipalities were encouraged to prioritize these groups. And with regards to rural farm workers assistance, they indicated that there was in Kuma hostel, they built temporary structures, and these were walk-up flats. And the problem is that this was stopped due to the dolomitic land. The management of the beneficiary list, they indicated that they use the National Housing Needs Register to manage the beneficiary list. And with regards to alternative technology, they indicated that they received several proposals on alternative technology, but they have not delivered anything yet. But they were planning to have a symposium to discuss alternative technologies. These were the deliberations that took place, and they provided the responses to the committee. Now, with regards to the visits that took place, number one was Naledi Extension 29. This was a mixed housing project. The issue here is that water meters were not connected. Number two is the Freiberg Extension, Extension 21, Huhudi Extension 1. And this was just in a phase of a layout plan. And number three, with regards to Ain, of particular concern for the committee was that there was a disabled person who did not get an appropriate house. The committee gave the provincial department 1 month to ensure that their house is completed. And in Shileng, there was an issue of non-compliance or non-performance by one contractor, and this was then given to the next contractor. And there was also issues of payment, because there was really no clarity on the payment that was due to the committee. And also the committee urged the province to rectify this thing and report to the committee. Okay, and then lastly, there was a Blue Drop project, and they had an issue of a big rock which was a problem, and they indicated that that was rectified. And the Deni estate was also visited. There was an issue of the project moving in slow pace, and there was an issue with one house which had a problem of the gutter. And this, number 7, there was a complaint, or there was a petition which was lodged, and it was the chairperson indicated that that group could speak to the support staff of the committee, and then the support staff indicated to the complainant that they should write this in writing in a formally, and they were also given contact of the secretary if they need further assistance. With regards to the recommendations made by the committee, these recommendations are divided into 2 provinces. There's Northern Cape, and then there's Northwest. Okay, so with regards to the Northern Cape, the committee felt that they should fast track the filling of a vacant post to ensure stability and improve performance. And secondly, encourage local contractors to use approved, sustainable, locally produced alternative building materials in order to address the issue of scarcity of building materials in the province, and show that prospective beneficiaries buy in and support alternative building materials. Fast track the issuing of title deed program, address all issues preventing the issuing of title deeds, ensure that people renting in social housing are willing and able to pay rent in order to improve revenue collection. Frequent occupancy studies should be conducted. Ensure cash injection in order to help unblock block projects. Ensure integrated planning participation by other sister departments in human settlements development. Ensure the delivery of military veteran houses. Ensure that housing design and size are acceptable to prospective beneficiary. Develop a strategy to deal with the mushrooming of informal settlements in mining town areas. Ensure the provision of bulk infrastructure before the implementation of housing projects. Ensure the visibility of NHBRC. Ensure that houses are not delivered in the periphery of towns and cities. Now, with regards to Northwest specific recommendations, use the DDM or the District Development Forum to ensure integrated planning so that human settlements are developed with social and economic amenities. Fast track the construction of houses for military veterans. Address challenges associated with township establishments to improve the title deeds issuance. Develop a clear strategy to run community residential units. This strategy should ensure proper maintenance and revenue collection. Develop a clear strategy to deal with land invasions. Develop a strategy to eradicate mud houses and asbestos roofing. And complete the housing unit for disabled beneficiary left incomplete by Mesicon contractor in Kompela village. Make an arrangement with the contractor that was on site to complete the abandoned milestone within a month. Furthermore, ensure that the completion payment arrangement is done accordingly between the 2 contractors in Kompela. Consult with the elderly person who was in the Ritsani village about the proposal of building her a house in Kompela village. And if she is willing to relocate, the contractor should build her a house within an area of implementation. Blacklist Foxito because of non-performance in Shilane and Mafufutso village. Assist women contractors in construction industry, empower youth and disability to undertake in their construction industry. fast-track the installation of internal services in the estate, incorporate self-help or people's housing process into all projects to ensure the involvement of communities in their housing development, ensure that beneficiary lists are acceptable to everyone involved in the project, ensure close monitoring of all housing projects, and institute consequence management in case of deliberate non-performance, recoup monies from contractors in Mafufutso project who was alleged to be overpaid, address community unrest and stealing of building materials. Thank you, Honorable Chair. That is the report before you. Draft report, Chair.
Thank you very much, Sabelo. Honorable members, that's the report. Sabelo, there are no time frames. It's only one time frame on the disabled person. On others, there is no time frames. Honorable Makasini.
No, thanks, Chairperson. Let me also welcome the report. I was worried also with the time frame because it was the disability person, the elderly people, the person, there were no time frame. And we gave them a month that they must consult and relocate to Kopela village. And that consultation, that time frame was not captured. Another issue, Chair, it was the issue of the woman contractor of Mafufutso 1 and 2. Who was abused. We felt she was abused, or the treatment was unfair, that she must pay the cost of the previous contractor, so that if she want to get that project, then we felt that the treatment of that contractor was not fair. I think if we can try to capture properly, because she was have to pay something that she didn't do it, so that she can get a contractor. We feel the abuse of the women contractor is just too much in the Northwest Province. Then the issue of also we said the time frame of the Northern Cape recommendation on the issue of the Lerato Park, that the contractor or consultant must be appointed on the issue of the rent. We also came with the time frame. Thanks, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Honorable Makasini. I think the issue of Mufufutso, we further said the department, because we said the department must relook on the issue of sessions between contractors, because it will affect safe delivery of houses, if I remember very well.
Yes,
That there must be, if there is any session, the department actually must guide the process, so that you don't have contractor to contractor, and at the ultimate end, as Honorable Makasini says, it's said it that the other contractor, because he needs to work, he get abused in the process. So I think we should capture it properly, that part, and maybe and we then said we need to engage the department, national department, on these issues of sessions, because it's all over the country, and then we must have a guide, understanding in terms of the how it's been guided, as a way of assisting the previously disadvantaged contractors instead of collapsing them. Honorable Butas. Honorable
Chairperson,
Tseke, yes.
Okay. Yeah, maybe from what Mima Keseni has said, that Comrade Savelo, we need to be very specific, especially on the resolutions. One, a report must be forwarded on the disabled person we found, I think it was Charlene. You remember that person who was moving from another community to where we were, where there's a contractor that was building. I think it's one of the contractor that we actually celebrated the work that he was
It was
doing.
Popela, Chair. It
It was Mopela.
Popela.
Obel, okay, yeah. Let's get the name of that person. I think you took all the details, but the name is important. To say, we found the following, this person, we need a report on how far, his allocation. The second one is what you said on the lady contractor who happened to take over an outstanding figures. I think it was daily robbery. Again, we need to get the name of that contractor, and not the name as the personal name, but the name of the contractor, to say our observation in that contracting process. As a committee, we felt that it was unfair for the new contractor to take the sins of the previous contractor. Okay, the sins may be my language, you will put it better. Because if you remember where we were standing, where the site is, things were stolen because that person could just not move because of the previous injustice. The second one is the one that we went to where I think it was not part, if you remember, we spoke with the chair for us to visit. As one of the area, the lady who her house we was asked to be finished in 21 days. I saw you wrote it in your report, but the name of the place goes away again. There we need to get, because the 21 days was given. Chair, because I'm communicating with this lady, windows were installed and everything. While in the process of being installed, the other community members complained to say, why only this one? Because I think the houses that were identified were 10. I spoke to the councillor and the councillor said he instructed the windows to be removed because it is a game, Chair. The windows were removed while they were already installed because others were complaining. I felt that it's unbecoming. Now, nothing is happening there, Chair, even after that 21 days, because others were complaining. We tried to engage the councillor to say progress must start somewhere, which is, it was starting there. But the councillor, in my engagement with him, he said, because the lady is also a family member, the community thought that he is the one that targeted that area for develop or for finalization of the house. So there's that issue, Chair, which I think as a committee, we need to note, even if you don't note what I'm saying, Isabella, but just to indicate that that house, it's not even complete even now, because the community revolted after the intervention of that 21 days mandate, which I think we need to follow up. The department must take that matter and resolve even those 10 that were complaining. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Zeki. Any other input? None. Actually, after we have received the information, they have actually communicated with me, and I've sent the message to the MEC and requested that the MEC should attend to those issues. So the MEC has got the knowledge. But you see, my problem was that councillor, where does he get the power to remove somebody's windows? Even if the community was because it's not him who said that that house must be finalized or finished. Where does he fit? It's something that I thought we would have to call the councillor and engage with him, because you cannot do that. Who's going to pay those damages because of his reckless decision? Because how do you go into an area and say remove these things because community? Why didn't he report the matter to the MEC? Because he's not in charge of housing. Because I felt that this councillor is out of order too, whether he's the family member of the lady or not, but he is out of order to go to instruct the contractor or to remove the windows. Because who's going to pay then the rest of the issues, the material? Because those windows might have been damaged as you removed them in the house. So I think as we adopt this report, we will have to engage the MEC and the department. I said Sabelo and Koliswa, they must actually, in areas where we've said there is a need to fix those areas within 30 days. They must count days immediately after 30 days have been finished. They must actually write a letter through to the department to actually say the 31st date we have given you as lapsed, and we want the feedback on this matter. I think as you respond, Sabelo, on the issue, you can then indicate whether you have written those letters and whether you have received any response from the department. Sabelo?
Yes, Chair. We have drafted the letters, and we have included all the people in different provinces. They are with police now. I'm not sure if he has sent them already, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Sabelo. I think, honorable members, what we'll do is that because Koliswa is not in the meeting, it's off sick. In the next meeting, as we deal with the minutes, we'll then actually get the feedback of how far, whether he has sent those letters or she has, whether she has received any feedbacks, so that if there is no response, we can then be able to summon whoever we need to summon to come and give us a feedback. With that note, honorable members, Butas, your hands is still up.
Apologies, Chair.
Okay, thank you. With that note, can I then get the mover for the adoption of the report with the correction and the inputs that members have made?
Adopt, Chair.
Honorable Tseki, move for the adoption. Can we then have a seconder?
I second.
Chair. Oh, thank you.
Honorable Malimadza, second. Thank you very much. Honorable Malimadza, were you part of the? No.
Oh, he was not part and put.
Okay. And then only those that were part, they'll have to.
No,
second.
Comrade Malamacha was there. Salim Levitt.
I was there. Onalisio Eastern Cape. Onalisio Eastern Cape.
Ebile re
Oh,
qoqa ntho tsa bohlokwa je le wena Makasine.
okay.
I'm very
No, thank you,
right.
thank you very much, honorable members. The report is duly adopted. Sabelo have to input on the issues that members have raised. And I think it's very clear that we have adopted the report with amendments. Can we then go to the second item, which is the department? Let me take this opportunity to welcome you, DM. I'm not sure whether the minister has joined us. Sorry. I see the hands of Honorable Setlhwai.
My apology for raising it very late. I was doubting if I can comment. I know that I was not part and parcel of the oversight. May I just on two issues, which
Okay.
I think they won't really change the content of your report. The issue that is raised, Chair, in the military houses building. This is a good program of government, but you find that in many times where these houses are built, they stay alone without being occupied by the owners. The reason being that house, to military veterans, that house is attached to a lot of basic needs. And if those basic needs are not attached, they don't get to the house before the owner comes in, that house is not appreciated. I'm just throwing, Chair, even to the department to think what could be the integrated service that could go with the planning of those houses for the military veterans. The last one, Chair, is the issue of the, I see that the members on the oversight raised the issue that we need to ensure that there's a clear beneficiary list. Maybe the question is, out of our experience as the committee about the beneficiary lists that are not authentic, that they got lost, and they, speaking the truth, we resorted to issue of digitalization. Where is that issue of digitalization so that that beneficiary list that is going to be man-made becomes quality on the basis of the digitalization? Thank you, Chair. I was just commenting, Chair, on some other issues that could be considered in the report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Setlhwai. I think the issues that we are raising can fit well in the next item, where we can raise it, because it's not an issue of one area, like the issues of the vets, of the military vets. It's something that we found in most of the provinces. The issue of beneficiary list, too, it's not the issue of one area. It's not Northern Cape or Northwest only. It's throughout the country. So I think if I can persuade you that as we deal with the quarter four, it can fit there, because that's where we're dealing with the issues of the entire country.
No, I'm fine, Chair. I'm fine.
Thank you. Thank you very much. With that note, let me welcome GM. I didn't see Minister. The
Thank you,
minister
Chair.
here, minister.
The Minister
Oh,
is
no, no,
also
he's
here,
here.
Chair.
Oh, he's here. Minister, you're welcome, and you can lead your team. Minister Kubai, you're welcome too. You can lead your team.
Good morning, Chairperson. Good morning, DM, honorable members, team led by the Acting Director General from Human Settlements. We are appearing before you today, Chairperson, to present our fourth quarter of the last financial year in terms of performance. What we are presenting, Chair, it's a performance that would have reflected upon during the time we were here for our APP presentation prior to our budget, highlighting the weaknesses, highlighting the challenges, but also what is it that we are doing about it. Also the reflection on the achievements so far that we have done as a portfolio. Chair, we continue consistently to report on the issues around performance of the portfolio in terms of capacity building. We are working around the clock to ensure that there's capacity rebuilding, as we had indicated. 2 newly appointed DDGs have started. The third one starts tomorrow. The fourth, in terms of affordable housing DDG, we have advertised, shortlisted already this week. We will go into interviews on the week of the 14th and then take a cabinet process. We delayed in that, Chair, because when we did the other three, we had an offer or something, a request for transfer that by Public Service Act, we needed to consider. It was a good candidate. We thought that we could utilize the skill. Unfortunately, it was the issue difference around the offering a package and what the expected candidate would have wanted. And we felt that it will fall outside the prescripts, having taken a decision to ensure that we will always ensure that we are within the prescript. So that's where we are with the last one. We will be now going out to start the recruitment process of a Director General. We are currently doing a job evaluation as required by Public Service and Administration regulations before we can advertise. We're expecting that to be done in the coming weeks once the job evaluation has been done and concluded. Chair, in terms of our performance, I can say, as we said previously, that there is improvement in the work that we are doing. It will not show in this financial year because quite a number of colleagues who've been acting at heads of branches would have come in from branches where they were chief directors. And that affected us in terms of capacity. So going forward, we are confident that we'll be able to have that stability and the people being able to do the work. But most importantly as well, to be able to say we beefed up capacity with the war room. That has done an extremely good work in the last year because that's where the gap was. They were able, for example, to assist us to turn around intervention that we made in Nelson Mandela Bay. The improvement that we see today in Nelson Mandela Bay in human settlements is as a result of the deployment of that war room colleagues. Some of them now, we've now started to put them in the structures within the organization, additional to the establishment while we're recruiting as well, filling those positions so that they can be able to assist us in ensuring. So in interventions where we wanted to ensure that there's improved performance, we've been able to engage with the provincial executive committees to go into those provinces and support them with capacity, and also in the municipalities. We made interventions in 2 municipalities, particularly Nelson Mandela Bay and Mangaung, both in terms of capacity, but ensuring that we help them to try and improve. With Nelson Mandela Bay, we've been able to see the results. With Mangaung, the political instability added to the salt, and we were not able to see much of the progress that we wanted, but some level of progress, which is not sufficient to the level. But I can safely say that the individual deployed there was commended in terms of the work ethic, the focus in terms of work, but ethical standards. And that's why we were requested to support the Mangaung with her becoming an acting while they recruit and stabilizing the municipality from COGTA's point of view. So we are confident that the work that is being done there as intervention, which we are supporting as human settlement, will give us benefits that are good in terms of work. We are paying attention to other municipalities where there are challenges, having discussions with them. We've got a MINMEC focused on metros coming up, just to deal with the evaluation. MINMEC took a decision that we need to zoom into the performance of the municipalities, get into before we can approve their business plans, get into where the challenges are, address them as MINMEC, so that when we go into the new financial year, we're able to improve on the capacity. Chair, when you look at our performance, you'll see that there's quite improvement in terms of where we need to be, but I can safely say we are not yet there 100% in terms of performance. On the previous financial year as well, Chair, you would have picked up that there were quite a number of issues raised by the Auditor General, which we have flagged. We have started paying attention, including those around consequence management, where letters of warning would have been given to officials, or even in terms of final warning. So that has been done. I've requested the then Acting Director General, Sindiswe Ngcongo, to assist us. Chair, unfortunately, she's not joining us today. She's on maternity leave. We've got the Acting Director General, Siyabonga Zama, who's leading with us here in terms of the team. You'd know that is one of the officials that we have appointed into the department as a full-time DDG. So as we continue to do the work, Chair, I thought, let me just flag so that when you hear somebody says I'm Acting Director General, you understand the context of it. I think, Chair, that's what I need to say. We continue to do our best, improve on performance, improve on the areas of intervention, but we do believe that the pillar for us to improve performance is ensuring that we have capacity to do the work. That we pay attention both in national and in the provinces, with, for example, all HODs now being appointed across the country, which will assist in terms of accountability. We have strengthened as well and asked the team to ensure that technical MINMEC assists us as a sector to ensure that work is being done, monitoring is being done, evaluation. So even at MINMEC level, Chair, we really spend time looking at performance and holding each other accountable as a sector. And I do believe that that's going to be something that helps us to turn around performance in this portfolio. With those words, Chair, I'd like to hand over to the DM if she's got something to say, a few words as well on the areas that she's got. Somebody's close to you,
thank you very much,
with their iPad.
Yes,
you've
covered some of the areas and mostly all of them. But I just want to highlight two issues to say our performance is largely dependent on external stakeholder performance. To ensure credibility when reporting, the department does not update its record without a portfolio of evidence confirming the information received from provinces and municipalities. As such, bulk of targets which are reported as partially achieved have actually been completed, but the portfolio of evidence was received after the reporting due date. And the other thing that I want to raise, Chair, is because I'm responsible for women and youth, and I'm seeing much improvement. I know that the portfolio committee has been complaining about set aside 30% set aside for women, which is now 40% actually, and 10% set aside for youth and 2% set aside for people with disabilities. And the department intends to strengthen intergovernmental relations to fast-track improve performance. And I've observed an improvement in the empowerment of women, with more provinces reaching and exceeding the set aside targets. We were with the minister in 2 provinces where the buildings are built by women, and 100% built by women. So there's much improvement, though I know that when you were doing the oversight, I got a call from one of the members of parliament to say, what are we saying about women that are complaining about not be given work by provinces? But there is much improvement now, because we're talking directly to premiers and also MECs to make sure that women, they give them work to do. And I see much improvement, and I will maybe in the next financial year, quarter term, we will be able to report directly, because this happened only last week, where we went to these provinces and women are building 100% are given work to do. So you will see much improvement on side of women. On the side of youth, Chair, we're not doing very well. I don't want to blame the department. It's my department which is actually looking at the youth. And in terms of the scholarship, we might be a little bit lower, but we're improving, because we are going to have an expo which is going to talk to women, to students, and also just to make them aware of opportunities in our departments and our entities. So that's what I wanted to add, Chair. Thank you very much.
Acting DG, over to you to guide the presentation. I think you can make your few words and then allow the team to present. Thank you.
Thanks, Honorable Minister and Deputy Minister. Greetings to the Honorable Chair and members of the Portfolio Committee and colleagues. Mine will be short. Mine is to say there is a lot of improvement that has been done by the department. If you do a comparison from Q1 to Q4, the Portfolio Committee could see that the department was hard at work trying to improve, because performance is about two things. It's either regression or progression. And we have seen a lot of progress with regards to achieving the APP targets that were on the table. And Honorable Chair, we want to emphasize the point that the achievements that we were bringing to the Portfolio Committee are backed by a credible portfolio of evidence that can pass the test of the Auditor General, because whatever target that we bring forward must be audited. And we have taken upon ourselves to seriously, as the Minister have indicated, to work closely with our beneficiaries, which is provinces and metros. For example, with regards to the business plans that weren't approved before the end of the quarter, we have already met with, for example, the Eastern Cape in trying to make sure that that business plan is approved, and the Free State. Therefore, the interventions are continuous and are there. We'll continue as a department intervening and working with our colleagues in provinces. Thanks, Honorable Chair. I will then hand over to CFO to lead us on the presentation. Thanks.
Thanks, Acting DG, Honorable Minister, Honorable DM, the Chairperson of the Human Settlements Portfolio, members of the Portfolio Committee, and colleagues, good morning. The host has disabled me to share the screen. I don't know who will be sharing the screen. I'm struggling to share.
You can share this your presentation now. You're a co-host.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, thanks. My name is Lucy Senembile. I'll be taking the portfolio committee throughout the presentation. We are looking at quarter four, which is January to March. And the next slide, this is the contents. We'll be looking at the performance, the structure, then the non-financial, and then the financial, and then the performance on the conditional grants, the observation, and the conclusion together with what we are putting forward as a recommendations. We are presenting the departmental 2023-24 quarter four performance to the Portfolio Committee of Human Settlements. I will be starting with our budget structure, but I won't dwell much. The department is divided into 5 programs, and the APP is linked to the programs, and we've got administration, which is program 1. Program 2 is the integrated human settlements planning and development. Program 3 is the informal settlements. Program 4 is rental and social housing. And then program 5 is affordable housing program. So for the quarter under review, out of 100 on all the target, we have achieved 72%, which is green. There is 25%, which is amber, and then which is partially achieved. Partially achieved, it means that on that target, there are some activities, because for us to meet the target 100%, there's different activities that we need to do. So you'll find that when the target is sitting at partially achieved, there are some of the activities that were not met by end of that particular quarter, whereas the other activities have been performed. However, 3%, which is 1, has not been achieved, but I'll talk to it when I reach. So for the quarter under review, we had a total of 40, and out of those 40 targets, 29 were 29 were achieved, 10 were partially achieved, and then only 1 target was not achieved. The 1 target that is not achieved is sitting under program 5. So from program 1 to 4, all of these programs, they either achieved 100% or they achieved some of the targets, and then whereas the others targets are partially achieved. So there's only 1 target that was not achieved, which is sitting under program 5. I'll talk to it when I go into the details. So this is what the acting DG was talking about, that we are showing the performance of the department throughout the quarters. So we have moved from 58% quarter 1. Now we are reporting quarter 4, which now we are sitting at 72%. So we can see now it's going up. The performance of the department has improved from the first quarter until now. So we have shown a consistent moving up the ladder. So we are really improving as a department. Now on program 1, I'm going to talk to the ones that are not achieved. The ones that are achieved 100%, I won't dwell much into them. So one of the indicators that is partially achieved under administration is the compliance when it comes to our statutory tablings. One of the target that has led down here is the parliamentary questions, which is sitting under this program. So we are saying for the quarter under review, we had a total of 31 parliamentary questions that were posed to us. The ones that were responded to in time, they were 21. Then there were 10 that we couldn't meet the target or the date of submission back to the minister to be submitted to Parliament. The reason being is some of these targets, they're related to the information that we have to drill down and get from the provinces. And we will have struggle with getting the responses because some of the information that we'll be receiving from the provinces are not complete. And we have to go up and down with the provinces to try and get the information so that we can respond to. But what we are putting as a corrective measure as a department is we have adopted the SOP that we have agreed to between the national department and the other, with the provincial departments and our entities, to say that we are giving each other, these are the number of days that we are expected to be able to respond to. So we are saying going forward, we are going to make sure that both the National Department and the entities and the Provincial Departments of Human Settlements, we need to adhere to these dates that we have agreed on, because these dates were presented at the technical minmac, whereby all of us were present and we all adopted and said we will be able to respond to the parliamentary question within the stipulated date. So we just have to make sure that we comply with those dates. Then when we go to program 2, the integrated human settlement, program 2, the target that was partially achieved is the analysis on the human settlements allocation in the PDAs. Now, even though the target was a report on the allocation within the PDAs, when we look at the entities, the activities that are embedded in there, even if as a department we have produced that report, but we are saying we are partially achieved because we were able to track and analyze the investment of the HSDG and the USDG. However, there are other investments, for example, the municipal infrastructure grants they make. So we are saying as a department, we struggled getting to verify the investments that are made by the other sector departments. So even if we're able to get the data, we couldn't verify that data to the credible source. So hence we are saying, even though we have achieved the target of the report, but we are saying we are not going to say we have 100% achieved, because the investment by other sector departments, we couldn't verify. Hence, we are saying we are sitting on amber. Then we are saying, what is it as a department that we are putting forward as a corrective measure that for the new year we are going to do? We are saying for us as a National Department of Human Settlements, if we are carrying this target in the next financial year, we need to consult with National Treasury to find out how can we verify the sector department investments. For example, we'll be able to get reports or the expenditure reports that are from the National Treasury, because AG will want us to have a verifiable source. So we are going to start the discussions with National Treasury so that all the other infrastructure grants, when they submit the reports to National Treasury, we need to be given access to those expenditure reports so that we are able to see the investments within our PDAs. The next target that we are saying is amber on program 2 is the land acquired during the 2014-2019 within the PDAs that is rezoned. So by the time that we were finalizing this quarter 4, no hectares of land were rezoned. But chairperson and members, subsequent to that, we received information that from the Western Cape that there was a rezoning of land in Gugulethu, which is 0.77 hectares of land. But unfortunately, this land was rezoned and the information was received after we have submitted this quarter 4 reports to DPME. So we thought that when we come to the portfolio committee, we will report an amber so that we are consistent with our reporting, so that the report that we are putting in front of the portfolio committee is the same as what we have submitted to DPME. However, when we come back and present our annual performance report, this target is going to be green, because we won't be saying no hectares of land has been rezoned. We are going to say there was 0.77 hectares of land that was rezoned within Gugulethu in the Western Cape. On the same program 2, chairperson and members, we have targeted to do some 3 researches. We're supposed to do a research on the exploration of the indigenous knowledge systems and alternative technology in the provision of enhanced people's housing process in the rural South Africa. The second research that we're supposed to do is the economic impact of housing program And the third research that we're supposed to do is the research on the extent of housing support provided to beneficiaries of the 1992. Out of these three research that we said we'll do on the fourth quarter, we were able to do two of the researches. One research we couldn't finish, which is the economic impact on the housing program. It was not done and finalized in time. What we agreed on as a department is that we still need to do this target, but because there were delays in the procurement and the finalization of the terms of reference, we agreed as a department that we are not going to leave this target. We are moving it on to the next financial year. So for the year that has just begun, this target is sitting on our APP. So we will be proceeding with it. So we are not leaving it because we didn't do it, but we are carrying it forward. Now, the other target is the set aside. The deputy minister has spoken about it. We are not doing very well when it comes to the set aside. And even the unit that is assisting in the department to track the performance on the set aside. But what we agreed on, because we are struggling to get the information from the provinces and the entities, because when we receive the information, we need to verify. So we agreed that the only source to verify if the companies are either youth or women owned, we need to go on the central system database. So we get the information from the provinces, from the metros, together from the entities, and then we have to go on the central system database and verify the information. So if the provinces and the metros and the entities are not giving us the credible information or the reliable information, we are struggling with the verification. So what we do, and if we don't even receive this information in time, we send out the compliance letters. We say that they did not comply. But what we did further as a national department, that we are really taking this target seriously, because we want to see it in the next financial year moving from amber to green. We agreed that this target is going to move from where it is situated, especially because it is linked to the conditional grants. This target will move to the CFO branch, so that when the provinces and the metros are submitting their quarterly DORA reports, they need to submit the report on the set aside. Then the team in the CFO branch will be able to do the verification and report when they're doing the quarterly information. And what we agreed on as well, Chair, is that we will be monitoring and reporting it from the CFO branch, and then we'll be moving forward. And then also we have included it on the responsibility on the grants framework for all the 4 grants, because what we've picked up is that we'll only get the reports from the HSDG and the USDG, but the provinces and the metros are not reporting on the informal settlements upgrading partnership grant. But now we have included it on the grants frameworks for all the 4 grants, that we need to know in all of our 4 grants how much are allocated to women-owned and youth-owned. Hence, we are linking this to the conditional grants. So we will be tracking that as well. And we have included it on the grant frameworks, and then they are gazetted as part of the bill. Now, the other target that were not achieved are our evaluation study. Is the evaluation study on the OPSCAP, and we're supposed to do the evaluation study on the informal settlements, on the design and implementation of the evaluation on the informal settlements partnership grant. So what we did and what we delayed, even though these 2 targets, these evaluations, we have planned them, they were part of our procurement plan that was submitted to National Treasury beginning of the financial year. But we know that during this financial year, when the year started, is that year when we had that we need to halt the procurement. So when we halted the procurement because of the Concord ruling, as government, because the 2017 triple PFA policies were challenged in court, and we had to halt the procurement.
Recording in
Because when
progress.
the provinces and the metro submitted the business plans, they were not credible. A lot of discussions were done. The business plans were sent back, and the quarter ended whilst we were still discussing the business plan. So as we closed the quarter, the approval letters were not submitted to the provinces and the metros. So what I'm saying is the business plans were not approved. However, subsequent to the end of the quarter, the business plan were approved. However, the business plan for Eastern Cape, Gauteng, and Free State were not approved, and it's what the acting DG was commenting on, to say that we are having discussions because we don't want to see the beneficiaries struggling or suffering because we are not upgrading, whereas we've got the funding. However, we need a credible plan. We need to see what is it that we are really funding so that the flow of the funds can start. So we are engaging these provinces. And the one target that I indicated that we are sitting as red is the agreements when it comes to the mining communities. Honorable Chairperson and members, I think here we over-targeted. We said as a department, for Q4, we are going to come up with 6 agreements for the mining communities. However, out of the 6, we were able to produce 4. 2 were not, 2 were developed, and then 4 were not developed. When we sat down and looked at this to find out what is the main reason we couldn't meet the 6, that's when we picked up and estimated the work that comes in when we have to negotiate with the mining houses. So we said, going forward for the new year, because we didn't target, but we still need these agreements because we've got the mining. We need to have the agreement with the mining houses so that we can do the implementation of the Mining Towns program. We said as a department, we need to get additional capacity to assist us. So this target, we are carrying it to the next financial year. However, we are going to find additional professionals. That what is it exactly that we need to start when we are negotiating with these mining houses so that they can assist us so that next year we meet the target. Now, the other target that we are sitting as Ember, Chairperson and members, is the title deeds. I know that we have not been doing very well throughout the years when it comes to this target, but the biggest contribution or the deviation in this target was when we closed the quarter. Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and Northwest, they submitted inaccurate information. And when we wanted to verify, because they're supposed to submit the listing and the supporting documentation. So when we want to look at that information, it was not agreeing. Hence, we are sitting as Ember. But when we look at the annual, we have reconciled the figures. So when we come back and present our annual performance report, we will be able to give the correct version because the information subsequent to that has been submitted. But we are saying as a department, going forward, we will make sure and keep on monitoring this target of the title deed because it's one of our priority. The other title deed that the other indicator or target that we are sitting as Ember is the job opportunities. This is a new target. So we are tracking it by requesting the information from the provinces. However, when we finalize for this quarter, the information from Mpumalanga was not supporting the figures that were submitted by the province. So what we picked up was that there was a loophole within the system. Number one, this was a new target. Number two, there was no standardization because we did not have a format on how the provinces are supposed to report to the national department. Hence, we struggled with Mpumalanga. So we are saying, what are the corrective measures that we are putting forward? As a department, we will issue a directive for this new financial year with the standardization format for the reporting on the jobs created. But what we did also as well for the annual performance report, now this target is going to change because we were able to sit down with Mpumalanga and get the correct information. But that one is going to be reflected on the annual performance. But for the quarter, we are still reflecting it as an ember because of the Mpumalanga province. I will be moving right on to the budget and the expenditure thereof. So when we look at the budget and the expenditure, we are now talking about the cumulative. The figures that we are presenting here, Chairperson and members, this is what we will be submitting today to the Auditor General. We had a meeting yesterday with the Audit Committee. We presented our financial statement to the Audit Committee. The Audit Committee was happy with our financial statements. They are recommending them that we can submit it to the Auditor General and National Treasury today, as well as the annual performance report, our APP, the performance on our APP as well. We are submitting the two. So we are submitting the part on the annual performance report, as well as the financial statement. So this is the performance as of the financial year that has ended on the 1st of March. Out of the 33.5 billion that we had, 620 million was not spent. So we are sitting at 98%. When we go down on the economic classification, that's where we are able to see the variances, where the underspending is sitting at. So on the compensation of employees, 51 or 52 million, when I'm rounding it off, it was not spent. And this was due to the vacancies that we're sitting with that were not filled as we close the year. Unfortunately, there is no rollover when it comes to compensation of employees. The 52 million will revert back to the revenue funds. On goods and services, 184 or 185, when I'm rounding it off, was not spent. The reason for the underspending on the goods and services that we are putting forward is what I said earlier on when I was talking about our evaluations that were not performed because of the delays in the procurement and the Concord ruling. Because when we start the year, we prepare the procurement plan, we submit the procurement plan to National Treasury, and we track the performance of the procurement plan. And the goods and services, the majority of our goods and services are linked to the programs and are linked to the procurement plan. So we did not perform on the procurement plan because when the Concord ruling came in, I think we stayed without procuring. The National Treasury issued a circular that we can request a deviation, but I think the Office of the Chief Procurement Officer was overwhelmed. They took forever to approve the deviations. Even when they approved the deviations, I think we're already in the second quarter of the foundation. Now they came back around the second towards the third quarter. They said, okay, we can proceed with the procurement. Then we proceeded with the procurement. Then come January, now there was a new regulation that kicked in on the 17th of January, 2023, which means that the 2017, they were repealed. Now as departments, now all of us in government, we had to come up with new procurement policies that are talking to the new procurement regulation that was published around the 17th of January. So these are the issues that made us to underspend. And I meant to believe that we are not the only department that has underspent, because what I've just referred to, it talks to the whole government at large, because all of us, we had to do what I'm reporting on today. So that is the underperformance on our goods and services. When we looked at what is it that we can roll over, we found that we couldn't stay with the funds. Unfortunately, the funds had to revert back to the revenue fund. On the transfers and subsidies, I will talk to the underperformance of the 375. And one of the underperformance that we are reflecting there is payments to capital asset. But however, I won't say is an underperformance because this is need basis. We will procure laptops and computers if there is a need. So we put down that we are going to utilize 19 million, however, only 10 million. So from where we are sitting as finance, we are saying it's a saving because we cannot continue and procure computer equipment if there's no need. So we did not get the branches requesting. So it means that what we have procured, they were still in good working conditions. The next is breaking down now, is taking out the transfers and subsidies, and then is talking to the operational expenditure, which is the 961 million, and then we are sitting at 74%. I won't dwell much because I've spoken to it in detail. Now, our transfers and grants, the one that I said I'll talk to the under expenditure. The under expenditure here is because of our Schedule 7 grants. The ones I've highlighted in yellow, the Provincial Emergency Housing Grant and the Municipal Emergency Housing Grant. When we know that during the year, because of the Eastern Cape and the KZN disasters, National Treasury gave us additional funding to assist in the emergencies because our annual allocations, they were given to KZN after the April disasters in KZN. So we received additional funding. Unfortunately, 369 from the Provincial Emergency Housing Grant was not requested, and from the municipal is the 2.5 million. So unfortunately, they work on an application basis. We couldn't transfer them. They are not committed. They have to go back to the revenue fund. The other line item is what the Deputy Minister spoke about, which is the scholarship program, whereby we are sitting with the 3 million that we could not spend. And I think that we need to do better as a department. Then hence the DM has spoken about the expo, so that we can now start looking and then revising our scholarship policy on what is it that we can do so that we can spend on this particular line item. Now, for the quarter under review, we have paid all the invoices. However, we are bringing this slide because on our annual report, we've got 31 invoices that we will be reflecting for the month of June, July, and August that we did not pay in time. But we are saying out of the total invoices that we processed as finance for the year under review, it was 5,139. 39 invoices were not paid in time, but we can look what we did as finance after we have realized that there was that non-compliance from September. For the 6 months, consistently, we made sure that we complied because we did not take kind. We had a word with the colleagues. We put the controls in place that we need to ensure that invoices are paid within 30 days, and that's what we have been doing. I'll be dwelling now on the individual grants. I'm going to start with the Human Settlement Development Grant. This is the final figure that we'll be reflecting. We have agreed with the provinces, and out of the 14.6 billion, we are sitting with 973 million that is not spent, which constitutes 7%. And we have highlighted the underperformance is in Free State. Free State, they have an allocation of 739. Even though we have reduced, because initially it was 813 million, we reduced by 100 million. They could not spend 495 to round it off, was not spent as of end of the financial year. They have submitted the rollover request, and we know the challenges of the Free State province throughout the years. We have been talking about what actually happened, and Minister has been intervening, assisting us with the intervention in the Free State province. But when we close the year, they've requested the rollover. National Treasury is busy looking at that rollover request. The same as the KwaZulu-Natal. We know what actually happened in KwaZulu-Natal. Because of those floods that happened around April, the first quarter, we lost the first quarter because they couldn't access their projects because of the devastating floods. Hence, they're sitting with the 360 million. National Treasury has came back to us. They said they're happy with the rollover approval in the KZN because they can see some commitments. And when we looked at Western Cape as well, is sitting at 104. Even in Western Cape province, we know that there are changes in the Western Cape province, and they're sitting with 104. However, They have requested the rollover approval. We are still waiting for the communication from the National Treasury, because in some of this, all of this rollover requests, National Treasury, they give us the request for our inputs. They want to find out whether we are supporting. So we said as a department, we are supporting the 973 rollover approval because we don't want to see the funds reverting back to the revenue fund. However, these funds are based on commitment. That's what Treasury came back to us and said, even though you are supporting the rollovers, but we are looking at whether they meet the requirements of section 22 of the division of the revenue fund. So that's what National Treasury is busy with. We looked at the numbers, but here we're just putting on the houses and the sites to say, how are we looking? Even though these numbers are not the final audited figures, but these are what the provinces said they will give us as per the business plan on the HSDG. They said they're going to deliver 28,896 on the servicing of sites. However, they've delivered 30,874. The reason why we are looking as if we have over delivered on the servicing of site is because of the Northwest Province. What Northwest Province did is they took all the servicing of sites, the target, they put it under the informal settlements. They didn't put it on the HSDG. But when they were servicing the sites, when the team went there to verify, they found out that what the Northwest Province is reflecting as an informal settlement is not necessarily an informal settlement project, it's an IRGP project. Hence, we had to report those sites under the HSDG. Even the funding had to be reversed. So the funding of this site now is sitting on the HSDG. Now, when you look at the Northern Cape are doing very well. When it comes to the servicing of site, Mpumalanga is doing very well. However, we need to indicate that Mpumalanga and Northern Cape, they did receive additional funding, and additional funding they had to show when they're doing the delivery. However, Limpopo is not doing well, 26%, and Free State Province. So the financial and the non-financial for the Free State Province is linked. You can see they're not doing very well. Their funds is not spent. There's no work on the ground. They did not deliver on what they said they will deliver. But when you look at Limpopo, they've overachieved on the houses. The reason being is when they realized that they are struggling when it comes to the servicing of site, they wrote to the transferring officer. They said, instead of us losing the funds back to the fiscus, we are requesting that we shift funds from the non-performing projects, which are sites, so that we can escalate the delivery of the rural program. Hence, you can see that the business plan was 4,522, but they have over-delivered on the rural program, which is 5,103. I'll move on the informal settlements.